Here we are at the Mental Health Summit.
We're going to get Jade, Faisal.
My name is Jade. I'm the founder of Your Guidance.
We're all three podcasters up here, so we're going to have some fun talking about imposter syndrome.
Thank you, Jade. Hello, everybody. My name is Chisholm. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Clear Marketing.
Everybody has their own personal struggle, no matter if you're an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur. Sitting down at that fireside chat, they're very vulnerable with what they went through.
People thought something who I was, and I was not that person. And I really struggled with that.
My reason for being here is to give, but also to understand what everybody else goes through.
You look back in your life, and I could have turned left, and I could have turned right. I leaned into it, and I went forward with it, despite that feeling.
Why don't we talk about your podcast a little bit, Faisal, and talk about with you working with CTV and doing all the the business and investment advice. How did that make you feel when you said that you were coming in as a person of color and working with that?
So it's very scary coming into an industry that's predominantly not in your background from an ethnicity perspective. It's generally a white male's game when I started, and it was very challenging because they didn't expect us to come in and actually make a difference. So that's number one. When you're coming into an industry where you want to feel like you're one of the smartest people in the room, and over the past 25 years of managing people's money and building investment portfolios, now I've learned running businesses that I want to be the dumbest person in the room. And that took a big shift because you want to prove yourself, so you want to be part of it. And now you want to realize, well, I want to gather the intelligence and the skill set of others, so I want to be the dumbest person in the room. And so I'm fortunate today that every meeting I have with my team, everybody on media, I am the dumbest person in the room, and I'm comfortable with that. When you look at what happens in conventional media, we, by fluke, got the opportunity to work with Chorus Radio. And they had a person that was doing it, he stopped doing it, and they introduced it and said, hey, why don't you give it a try? Give it a try, what do you do? I have the face for radio, but I don't have any kind of skill set, right? And so I go, okay, well, let's take a look and try this. And then you just throw yourself at it, and you try it again, and you mess up, and you try it again, and you get some commentary along the way of how to help yourself. And what's interesting about conventional media, as we've seen on social media, is people are not shy to tell you how they feel. And so there isn't a single week where I get 2 to 3 people that tell me they hate me for what I say on media. Fast forward now to the podcast, and we have our first show was in regards to retirement transition, and then we started the Karmali Exchange. And the Karmali Exchange is helping entrepreneurs take their businesses to the next level. And again, I wanted to be the dumbest person in the room, so why not get the smartest people in the room, interview them, get their stories, find out what their successes are, because if we can learn from that, and we can actually learn from their failures, we can help others. What I find in our industry is that conventionally, we are villains. Business owners are bad people. That's not accurate. We're human beings too. And so learning that we are not the people that are looked at high upon when it comes to the reputation that we have as business owners, but there's also a struggle that we go through, and imposter syndrome being one of the biggest ones. Every single entrepreneur at some point said, maybe I'm not the right person for this. And that's how it all started, and that's the kickoff that we wanted to have with our shows.
How do you think you got over it and became a little more comfortable in dealing with that?
So I find what's interesting about human behavior is that we will always generally act more for others than we do for ourselves. So let me give you an example of where this is coming from. According to the USA's pharmaceutical data, prescriptions that are purchased for the purpose of their animal, like dog or cat, are 100% utilized. The dog or cat takes all their medication. Human beings, 60%. We will care more and make sure the medication is applied to our ones that we love over ourselves. So this is where it started from. So go back many years ago when I went through a divorce. I have 2 daughters. I have to do everything I can for them. I have to give them a life or open doors that they can go through at their choice. That was my viewpoint. So I had no choice. It wasn't for me, it was for them. And so I put them ahead of my decisions about taking care of myself. It wasn't until I realized somewhat of an aha moment that you had, Jade, was I can't take care of them if I don't take care of me. And so that's where the therapy, the counseling, the business coaches, and everybody comes around together, building that team of people that can help me get through it. So getting over all these hurdles of imposter syndrome or apathy or neglect is that because I built a team realizing I can't help others unless I can help myself. So I learned that the hard way, but I've learned it, and that's one way to get over it, is understanding that you can't take care of others until you take care of yourself.
Even our mentors out there need help, and even the people that are, and this is what I want to start talking about in community, is, you know, when Tyler and I met, and Faisal and I have gotten to know each other last, and the Kristas and Jamies, and what Steve is doing, and I keep rattling on here, we all help each other in this, and that's something that I love about being the Prairie Way. It doesn't matter if you're a VC investor, or if we invest in your company, or if you're just somebody who wants to go for a coffee and have a talk, we are all there for you. So Tyler, why don't you maybe talk a little bit about that, and you know, as you're you know, an import here from Montreal, so we'll, you know, talk about the differences maybe.
Between here in Montreal, you know, that's a big one.
You're gonna be pushed that here soon.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, something that just, I'm gonna maybe not take your question, but I really want to pull off a thread of something you said about someone who was your mentor is now looking to you for mentorship. Something we joke about in our agency is you can't see the label when you're inside the bottle. And we live very firmly in the middle of all of our bottles. But I would guarantee, or I would boldly say, that most of us in this room has someone from the outside that sees us in a way that we maybe don't see ourselves. And how disrespectful is it not to believe them? And even if you don't at first, try it on. Like, there's amazing, like the fake it till you make it, which is a dangerous statement in a few ways. But if someone says, I see this in you and I really love it, you're like, wow. What if that was true? Just try to believe it and try to take it out for a walk. And it's amazing how it can, you know, open up some new characteristics that they see in you that you maybe just don't realize for yourself.
Great points there, Tyler. I think when you're looking at your mentors who will also at times need you, or your friends or family may need you, I love the point that you made when he says, they'll see you in a different light. And so here's a flaw that I have that my team will probably start to nod their head when they hear me say this. I'll always make a joke about myself. I'll always put myself down. And that's just to kind of lighten up the room. But it really is a showing of an imposter syndrome that I have till today. We've had some great success in our businesses. We've reached points that 99% of our peers have never reached. Yet I still joke about how bad we are. It's interesting I see comfort in putting myself down versus comfort in looking at what other people see me as. So it's very interesting as individuals, business owners sometimes do this just to kind of get a reaction from the people around them so they know where they fit. I think that's something that needs to adjust. That starts with yourself. And definitely get yourself out of that bottle and take a look at the label in the viewpoint that others look at, and that way you'll be able to move forward from there. I think when we look at our lives and we kind of look at it in two different perspectives. One, you have a garden outside of your home, and then you have plants or flowers inside your home. And how you water them is very different from one another. When you have a big garden, a big concern, a big issue, you need a sprinkler, you need a hose, you need some sort of organization to help you with that. And that makes sense. But when you're watering the flowers inside your home, you never bring in a hose. You don't put in a sprinkler system to take care of that. You kind of use those small dosages of water. And those are the individuals that when you look at them, that they can help your flower grow, help yourself grow to the next level. And so I think when we're looking at when we need help, are we trying to water the garden or are we trying to water a flower inside the home is a good fork in the road. And when you identify what that problem is, you'll be able to identify what's the solution or who can help you get to that solution. Is it a large organization or a group of people or a community that you can be part of? Versus there's individuals that we all know, and it may not be people who've got big accolades or PhDs or whatever it may be, but they're just people you know that can help you water your flower in your home. And so I think we're at a point in our lives where we have to decide, what do we want to water and what kind of tool do we want to water with? Is it a hose or is it just a glass of water? And we can find out who those people are to help us.
Is there anything that you'd say to somebody that to give them that last piece of advice to reach out for help?
I think that there is a formula for evolution within yourself, and I call it a 3 for 1. Give 3 and then ask for 1, but you have to do both sides of it. So help 3 people, 3 organizations, 3 areas where you can really make a difference. It doesn't mean you have to be large, it can be really small, but do it 3 times. And then you have to ask for help somewhere. The hardest part is asking for help, but then when we feel that we've given enough, we have the right to ask. Now we're entering the holiday season and we're very good at giving. How many of us are good at asking? So I think this is the key point that we have to look at, is switching the mindset from we always have to be givers or we always have to be takers. I think there's a nice formula if we just give 3 times, but we ask once, and we have to ask and we have to give. That will give you that balance, that equilibrium, that you're always going to be in a deficit, that you always are okay to ask, because you're giving more than you're asking.
That's awesome. That was awesome.
Understanding mental health really helps us as individuals, but also helps us as entrepreneurs. Before, we would actually just go to work and bring our problems home. Now the problems are with us. And so we bring them everywhere. And so understand the mental health of all of your staff members, or where they are in their journey, is important, because you are working as a team. You're working together and you're moving in the right direction, regardless of what everybody is going through and where they are in their journey. Thank you for watching the Karmali Exchange. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can also follow me on social media at Faisal Karmali, where we can continue the business conversation.